Well, good morning. It's July 8th. Always have to think. There's a severe thunderstorm watch, but it doesn't look like there's much risk of anything until later in the afternoon, so I don't think I have to worry about it during my walk. I thought I would walk sort of east along 15th and then back west along College today. I haven't walked along College for a while, and I don't think I've walked along 15th at all. So it'll take us through what's called Center Square, the transition area. I have walked in there quite a bit, but not quite this path. Then I'll come back along College. That's the plan. It's about 18 degrees, I think, right now. It's going to be fairly warm today. So the first step here, obviously, is walking up Angus Crescent. Got to get this out of the way because at 10 o'clock my time, I'm interviewing David Liss for the World Shapers podcast. He has a book coming out from Tachyon called, what's it called? The Peculiarities, I think? Should have looked that up before I started talking about it. Well, I will before I talk to him. I'll remind myself of the title. I've talked to several authors published by Tachyon. They publish some really great authors, interesting authors, well known in the field, and their publicity department reaches out to me fairly regularly, which is always nice. There won't be a podcast episode this weekend. That was last weekend, and I only do it every 2 weeks. And I may be done doing transcripts. Last one I did was for Miles Cameron, Christian/Miles Cameron. I just don't feel that people seem to be caring about them. When I look at my statistics, there's no indication that people are really coming to the transcripts. I can tell because they're simply not there long enough to have read them. So I had a couple of reasons for doing them in the first place. One was to drive search engine traffic, and hard to tell if it's done that or not. And the other is just because I personally would rather read interviews than listen to them. But perhaps there's not enough like me to make it worth the hours it takes to do those when I'm increasingly feeling pressured time-wise with everything I need to get done, publishing and just life, and writing and life tasks. So we'll just walk straight up here to 15th and start east. Like they're planning to tear up this road, which will be annoying. Later today, I expect I'm going to drive to Saskatoon. I haven't been up there for a long time. I guess I could have walked up there, but I'm not sure I'll have time, so maybe sometime I'll go do Saskatoon walk if I'm up there a couple of days. Oh, maybe they're not doing street work. Looks like they're working on the sidewalk over there. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, say hi. I will say hi back. Oh yeah, definitely pouring the concrete in to the sidewalk there. Now, which side of 15th do I want to walk along? The north side or the south side? For some reason, I want to walk on the other side. I'm not sure why. It just feels more right. So we'll walk on the north side. Going up to Albert Street again, of course, as one does. These trees are infringing on my headspace. Ah. Again, that's my daughter's dance studio there, Class Act Studios, where she worked and took classes for many years, and just finished working there this season. We watched their recital on Friday. Is that Friday? I think it was Friday. It was very good. Oh, perfect timing for crossing here. I may not get the light, but I got here just as the lights changed. Perfect. So, looking up Albert. We'll go through here since I'm aimed that way. We're going to walk all the way to Winnipeg along 15th here is the plan. City View Center. Among other things, it has doctor's offices in there. It's the only reason I've ever been in there. I think there's a eye, ear, nose, and throat specialist in there I went to once to get my hearing tested. I think that's what it was for. Apparently I had pretty good hearing for my age. Good hearing. I do have tinnitus, which is annoying, but so far nobody has said hi this morning. It's maybe one of those lonely walks when I'm all by myself. Apartment building. Over there on that side is the Fireside Bistro in that old house. It's been a restaurant for many years. It was something else before that, but it's been the Fireside Bistro now for quite a while. They have a pretty nice deck, provided it's not mosquito and or wasp season. Especially wasps. Mosquitoes are annoying, wasps are really annoying. Although I guess heavy enough mosquito population is probably even more annoying. Wasp season is sort of later in the summer. Mosquitoes come and go. We had all that rain a few weeks ago. Really had a surge of mosquito population at that point. It's a very old house here. I believe it has a doctor in it. At least it has a sign that says it has a doctor in it. Apartment building over there. Apartment building over here. Another old one. You can tell by the brick. as an interior courtyard space. Cornwall Street. Get a view of Dark Hall down there at the end. That's the Prince Charles Apartments over there. I think I've been in there once. There used to be a restaurant in this corner in an old building. And they tore it down, and then there was a sign for a long time that said they were going to build a condo here, and that never happened, and now it just seems to be sitting fallow, I guess would be the polite way to put that. There are a couple of houses there that were torn down too when they were getting ready for that supposed condo project. And that's the condo complex we have a condo in, where we lived when we were first married. Over here is Central Park. As I like to say, we have a condo off of Central Park, and there's the garden. Some workers working on the garden. Central Park. This was the third of 3 condos that were built in that complex. The first one faces onto College, one faces Hamilton, one faces Scarth. And that's the location where Central Collegiate was at one time. That whole block there. I don't have any mental image of Central Collegiate. I think it was already gone by the time I moved up here, or else it was torn down shortly thereafter. And more apartments along here. I think it's a tennis court up there. Don't believe I've ever seen anybody up there doing anything. Almost abroad. And we'll keep going all the way down to Winnipeg. Not the town, but the street. And come back along. Alright. Guy's waiting for me. Did I say Scarth? I meant College. I still think of these as relatively new, but they've been here for years now. I presume they're run as condos. And over there, that's a pretty new condo building. Has a bubble tea place around the corner. I've been in many times with my daughter. She likes bubble tea. I like some of the things you can get at a bubble tea place. I don't actually like the tapioca pearls. I don't think I better try crossing here. It's probably a short light. And I'm likely to get caught, so. Wait to cross. Bubble tea place is down here. This is Broad Street. Another apartment building there. This could be a bit of a wait at this corner. Probably could have made it if I'd kept going, but I chickened out. Since I didn't have a cross light, there's no way to know how long you've got. This is called Center Square Place. So this whole area back here, as I said, is called Center Square, I guess, officially. That was a coffee shop over there when it first opened. Very grand as coffee shops go, but it didn't make a go of it. So now it's got, I think, doctor's offices in it. I remember being in there when it was a coffee shop because we still lived at these condos I just pointed out close by. A very long light, especially when you're trying to keep up commentary. There we go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Yay. Feeling quite lonely this morning. Not a breath of hello from anybody on YouTube or Facebook. But if you're there, say hi. If you're watching the recording of this, well, I hope you're enjoying that too. Okay, we will just keep walking along 15th all the way to Winnipeg, which is a pretty good hike, and then back. I'm sure that will take up my time. This will take us right by the Regina General Hospital on my left shortly. These streets all have, well, not yet, but eventually they all start having city names. Osler's not a city name. As you can see, well established landscaping wise. Somewhere up here they switched to city names for the streets. Another old apartment building on this side. This one is called Avalon Court. Yeah, so here we start with Halifax here, and we get various other cities as we continue to move towards Winnipeg, which of course is also a city name. St. Chad's down there, which we'll walk by on the way back. There's the hospital coming into view on the left. Regina General Hospital. It has old parts and it has new parts. It's grown over the years. So it's a bit of a maze, as hospitals tend to turn into over time. Oh, it's the main entrance is really on the other side. If you were going in, that's where you would check in. On this side, there are doctors' offices in this building here, so I've been up there a couple of times, mostly with my mother-in-law, who had a doctor up there. And of course, this is where our daughter was born, Regina General Hospital, 20 years ago in a month. Don't remember where. Somewhere in there, wherever they put the maternity tags. I think all babies are born here and not at the Pasco, which is the other big hospital. There's a nice courtyard down in there, tucked away, nice and shady. Even on a hot day, they wouldn't get hit by the sun for very long down there, I wouldn't think. And still nobody has said hello. None of my regulars have said hello. Nice grass. There's old houses like that on the other side. Don't know why that car stopped there. Now it looks like she's backing up. This era of houses, probably a bit older than ours. Ours was built in 26. I would think these were built before that. And that's a newer one there in the corner. So after Halifax comes Toronto. And college, there's Balfour Collegiate down there. We'll walk by that shortly. And an interesting old one over here, apartment building, which I never really noticed before. I don't think it was on in my book, but maybe it was. Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw. Look it up. You can buy it still. Whether any money would ever come my way from the purchase of it at this point, I don't know. But Hemp Haven over here. My niece used to live there in those new condos there, although she now has a house a little further away. We're almost to Winnipeg. Then over here is one of Regina's brew pubs. We'll see it here in a minute. Multinational. Makes excellent beer. More old houses. Almost to Winnipeg, so I think I will change sides. Because I will be turning right up here at the stop sign. Again, the old houses, some of them. It varies depending on how they've been cared for. And here's Winnipeg Street. Oh, John, maybe? So, not crossing Winnipeg, we'll now turn right, go down to College and head back. I haven't walked too much on the other side of Winnipeg. Could go over there sometime. This is Winnipeg Street, not the city, although Winnipeg the city does not look that dissimilar. Now, I think I would have walked down the other side of College, so I'll have to cross over up here. That way I can wander a bit in behind the buildings instead of just walking along in front of them the whole way. Also, it looks like with luck, I might catch this light pretty good. I'm about halfway done and nobody has said hi. Nobody likes me anymore. Oh well. I will press on regardless. Now the question is there still a left turn signal going here? I wouldn't think so. So we'll take our chances. So first we get Miller Comprehensive here, where at one point my daughter was in daycare. There was a daycare there, there's not anymore. She went from here to the Y, and then she was at the Y for several years, and then she started school. And then they had a daycare associated with the school called Dragon's Den. Here, let's walk up closer here. Another comprehensive Catholic school. Doesn't really figure in the Shards of Excalibur series, although it's mentioned that there's a Catholic school here, but I changed it to St. Dunstan, I think, because there was a connection there with the King Arthur legends. So that just amused me. I remember bringing Alice here once for a drama competition as well when she was in high school. It's more interesting to walk up here under the pillars than just out along the street. Question is, do I walk in front of Balfour or behind Balfour? They're doing something up here. I still don't know what. There's been fencing around the front of Balfour now for quite a while. But Balfour figures in my book under a fictitious name as well. In the Song of the Sword, I called it Oscana Collegiate. No, there's a fence. I don't think I can walk behind it, separating the two schools. Can't have the Catholics and the regular non-Catholic students mixing, I guess. But I could go back here behind it, so why not? This is the gym down here, newer than the rest of the school. So in Twist of the Blade, Book 2, Wally is in the gym of Oscana Collegiate. Comes out of a door goes around the corner, slips on a patch of ice, falls, hits his head, and ends up in the hospital with a concussion. And although this is the gym, so it could technically have been at this corner, I wasn't that precise. In my head, I wasn't picturing Balfour at all. I was picturing Weyburn Junior High, where I went to junior high in Weyburn, hence the name. Still, technically, this is where that high school is in the book, even though I did not really use it precisely. I needed a swimming pool too. Balfour doesn't have a swimming pool, but there's one in Oscana Collegiate. In fact, I thought of it more as being where the gym is here. And I thought of this corner that Wally came out of, went around the corner and slipped and hit his head, even though this isn't the gym. None of those buildings were there when I moved here. That was just empty space. So that's all grown up in the last 30 years. More like the last 20, I guess. There's the Balfour tennis courts. There is a very important scene that happens on tennis courts, but they're not these tennis courts. They're ones that aren't there anymore behind Miller that we walked by earlier. Here's the backside of Balfour. I think there's a gate out over there, or I can make my way out here. We'll go this way. Don't know where that bus is going. So that front part is the oldest part of the school. And then this is an older nursing home. I've been in there. I've known someone who lived there, and I think when I was still at the Science Center, maybe I did a presentation or a talk or sang, maybe. I know I was in their sunroom for some purpose. Yeah, there's a lot of construction stuff over here, but I don't know what they're doing to the school. So there's the hospital again down there at the end of that street. I like that house over there. It's a heritage property. Been in it. It was on the McDavin School home tour once, back when my wife was involved with that fundraising effort. I can't remember off the top of my head who it belonged to originally. I've walked back in there. This is the Anglican Diocese building. Diocese of Capel. It's called Capel House. As we'll go in here and walk on the path instead of, ouch, just wandering down the street. A nice park. Some St. Chad's over there, now being turned into condos, or has been turned into condos. Was a theological seminary at one point. Tony Cote Park, this is called. It does have a name. Right there. Tony Cote Park. Or Cote. Doesn't have an accent on the E, so it might just be Cote. You never know how people pronounce their names. I always try to be sure. I ask sometimes when I'm doing my podcast. Although today it's David Liss. I'm Liss. I'm pretty sure I can pronounce that one accurately. I think this was part of the St. Chad's, maybe? I don't remember now, again, without looking at my book. Apparently it has a skin clinic in it, so there you go. It's a nice part of the streetscape. And here we are back at Broad. That one I like with the sort of Spanish flavor over there. So once I get the podcast out of the way, then it'll be back to editing. Need to get some more the short stories looked at for Shapers of Worlds Volume 2, the anthology I kickstarted, featuring second-year guests of my Aurora Award-winning podcast, The World Shapers, which you can find at theworldshapers.com. And Tangled Stars, my novel, has been a little neglected this week with other publishing things I'm worrying about. But I got to get back to the revision of that. And this is just the first revision. Once it gets to my editor, there will be a editorial revision. Oh, looking up Broad there. Again, I figure people, first glance when they see me, think I'm a radar gun. So maybe I'm helping to keep speeders under control by doing these. I should get an honorarium from the city for that. That building always looks nice sticking up. It's a little more interesting than some. It's one of the older ones around. I think I've been in it. I've either been in it or I know somebody who lived in it, but they lived in it before I was actually in it. Knew them. I can't remember now. I knew somebody who used to live in it. That's not the same necessarily as having been in it. We'll walk down by the sound stage here. Used to be part of the university. The drama department was in here when I first moved to Regina. Then it was completely gutted and a soundstage was built. So it's just a facade. There's brand new offices and walls and everything inside. Nothing period inside at all except for the front entranceway and the turrets you'll see here in a minute. Among the offices in there, Saskatchewan Multimedia Production Industry Association, Sympia, Creative Saskatchewan, which is the government's granting body for most artsy things. Some artsy things. There's also Saskatchewan Arts Board. Creative Saskatchewan is an actual government thing. And Sask Books is in here, which is the Publishing Association of Saskatchewan, and I'm on their board now as of the last AGM. And we have our first meeting that I will be part of next week. So that'll be interesting. And there's other things in there. And it is still a soundstage. In fact, I'm auditioning for something here about 10 days for a comedy web series. I'll keep you posted. I never seem to get hired, so it's a good thing I don't depend on acting as my main source of income. It was funny because the casting director who contacted me said, can we stretch your age to 60, which was nice. I didn't know I had turned the last time we had anything. I've known it for a long time, but so I said, yeah, we can stretch my age to 60 since I'll be 62 in July. Still wondering what's going to emerge from that. There's an old sculpture of a frog under that tent. I don't know if they're planning to refurbish it or what. Because this used to be the art department was here. So studios in the basement and famous artists hung out here. The Regina 5 was a famous group of artists in the 60s. People like Joe Fafard would have been here at one point, I would imagine. Well-known Saskatchewan artists. Nice new sidewalk. This is the college building. Among other things, the Conservatory of Performing Arts is in here. This has been completely rebuilt. It still has a lot of the old parts in it. One wing was torn down and it's all new, but the facade is preserved. It's down at this end. And as soon as the restrictions lift, then I can walk through without a mask, which will be next week. Sometime I'll walk straight through here with the cameras to show you how it passes through from one side to the other. It's all the things that are in here. Quite a lot. And then the one I'm really happy that's being refurbished, Dark Hall. I've performed in there many times, and my daughter has performed in there. My wife has performed with me in there. And her mother performed in here, and her grandmother performed in here. Because this was at one time the premier performance space. And they're putting in some nice landscaping in between as well, which will be nice. So it's hard to see through the fence, but that's the front of it there. Dark Hall. And now it has a new joint. That used to be the lobby, but it's small and not accessible. So now the main lobby will be this joint space, which connects Dark Hall to the credit union building here, which we'll walk down beside. So if you were going to the theater, this is what you would see from this side. And of course, you can also get in from the other side. You can see me there too, if you look. I'll go and walk under the overhang here. I have not been in this building yet. Kind of an interesting effect with the reflection. You can almost get a, oh, there we go. That might be my thumbnail. It's kind of interesting. Is that cool or what? Far out, man. That would be my 70s upbringing coming through. And they're building a new sign over there. I knew that from before. And they're working on the there's the path I want. They are building a new swimming pool over here, replace an old one. That's what's going on over there. Can't really see it through the trees, but there's nothing much to see yet, but that's what's going to be there. Which will be nice. That's where that truck is going, presumably. Don't know why else it would be down there. This is in behind the Royal Saskatchewan Museum over there. I'm still surprised I haven't had a single hello from anybody on Facebook or YouTube today. I mean, I don't get a lot of viewers live, but usually somebody says hello. Oh well. Morning. Gazebo down there, and then the lake, and you can see the legislative dome. I'll probably walk around the lake tomorrow. It's been my tradition. But there's other things happening, so let's see. I haven't missed a day of walking yet, so I'll walk somewhere. I've also thought about doing an evening walk. Might be interesting. Just around the neighborhood. I wouldn't go too far. Walking outside, wearing a mask, that makes no sense to me still, and never will, especially now when we're about to lift the restrictions. So I was a little concerned when I saw this fence. I thought they were going to be tearing up this part of the lawn, but it seems to just be a staging area for the pool construction. I've got them aimed pretty good. I should get by here without getting wet today. Always nice to see the water on a warm day. Theoretically, there could be thunderstorms. I looked at the radar, and there's a pretty nasty patch of them out west headed our way. So, looked like they would get here late morning, early afternoon if the radar guesstimate was correct. And there's a bit of sort of high haze coming in, which sometimes presages some change in the weather. But we'll see. Again, there's the lake over there. Oh. You can see it. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to, but there's the rainbow. And it actually shows up quite well on the... I mean, if I can even see it in the sun, it should show up quite well on the... Oh, it carries on too. As you come around, you can see it there too. Let's see where it's the brightest. There you go, a rainbow for you. God's promise that he will never again destroy the world by flood. Well, maybe not that particular rainbow. God's promise that he will never again destroy the world by sprinkler. There's a funny short story there somewhere, short or something. There's a joke there somewhere. This brings us up to Speaker's Corner, which has some lanterns that used to stand in Hyde Park in London. Considering the state of free speech, with the government of Canada showing an alarming desire to squelch it through some of the bills they're proposing, and in general, I feel that what I once took for granted, which was a staunch defense of free speech, and that means speech you disagree with, is all that really matters when it comes to that. We're all in favor of speech that we agree with, The test comes when somebody says something you don't agree with and whether you still stand for their right to say it. And increasingly it seems people do not want to listen to anybody that they disagree with. They want to cancel them, close them down, get them fired, get them kicked off social media, all those things. So Speaker's Corner here is a nice emblem of free speech. But, oh crap, I just missed this light, looks like. But I don't believe that the support for it is what I think it should be. I have to wait for this light. I'd go through the tunnel, but it's blocked off because of the painting they've been doing down there. At least I think it is still. Yeah, it is. They're painting the tunnel under the... It's kind of a general rule. If somebody says, I believe in free speech, but they don't believe in free speech, as soon as you put that but in there. And you hear that all the time. Well, sure, I support free speech, but not speech by so-and-so saying such and such. So when it comes to me, I'm a free speech absolutist. At least I try to be. But it's a hard position to take, I admit. But I do think that it's very much gone, ouch, got a mosquito biting me there. I do think it's very much gone in the wrong direction recently, and I hope there's enough pushback to swing us back. Just a couple of more blocks. Lovely flowers. How long has this been? It'll be just about an hour when I get back home. Back home again on Angus Crescent. Leopold Crescent. Familiar alley. I'll see when I get in. The things did start a little weirdly today when I started walking. It went straight to streaming when it usually stops and has me connect differently. So I'm wondering if this streamed at all. Might explain why nobody's saying hello. I'll find out when I get home. If you're there and you haven't said hello and you'd like to, this is your last chance. I'm almost there. Yeah, it was very weird the way it immediately started streaming instead of stopping and having me check in on YouTube as first, which is what it normally does. So possibly I have been talking entirely to myself this entire walk, but now I'm talking to you of the future, viewing this. this window into the past. It's like time travel. I hope you've enjoyed your journey back into the past with me. And I'm about to return you to your regularly scheduled lives. Okay, let's stop it here. So, thanks for walking with me, whether you were watching me live or not. And I'll be back tomorrow, though probably at a different time. We'll see. But I'll be here. Bye for now.